Step one of reforming and replacing Vermont's education funding system is now complete. Governor Phil Scott officially signed the Education Transformation Bill today, symbolizing a landmark decision many state lawmakers say they are proud to be a part of. ABC 22's Matt Holderman was in the room when the governor put pen to paper today. He now joins us live from the newsroom. Matt?
Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, as we've noted before, some Vermont legislators describe this as the most important education bill in decades, if not the entire history of the state. It sets the groundwork for the creation of a new system to now begin, and some parts of that work are starting immediately instead of waiting for next session. Surrounded by some of Vermont's top politicians and portraits of state leaders past, Governor Phil Scott put pen to paper Tuesday afternoon on a bill that puts the creation of a new state education system into motion, following decades of struggling through problems caused by the current one.
The bill that passed creates a blueprint to build one of the best education systems in the nation, focused on students, putting them ahead of all the other drama that has muddied the conversation for years.
State lawmakers who did the most legwork on the Education Transformation Bill thanked the governor for his signature and reflected on just how we got here, touting a year of spirited debate and a town meeting cycle that led to some of the largest property tax increases in state history.
If you go back to November, voters sent a very clear message. We heard that message and we stayed focused on that message, which was that property taxes had gotten too high and our system was too volatile.
Although the legislative session is over, work on related bills meant to follow and build upon this one will begin immediately, with Scott, Baruth, and House Speaker Jill Krawinski picking members of a task force that will draw up the new school districts, turning over 100 small ones into just about a dozen big ones, and presenting their ideas next January.
The redistricting task force will begin contemplating new districts, and the agency will be providing analysis and recommendations on everything from cost drivers in special education to statewide graduation requirements.
And with years of work still ahead of them, legislators again reminded each other of exactly why they are doing this.
The heart of all of this work is our kids and their future.
It will be the best education system in the country.
And while this bill does have tripartisan support, there are also people across the state who denounce it, including some teachers, superintendents, and school board members. Senator Baruth acknowledged those concerns, saying that when you're swapping out an entire state financing system, anxiety is understandable. But he promises the bill is carefully designed to roll out piece by piece after research has been done. And Senate Minority Leader Scott Beck added they will work to put safety nets in place over the next 9 months to try ensuring potential mistakes and failures caused by the bill are far less possible. Reporting live in the newsroom, Matt Holderman, ABC 22 News.